your book, Mystic's Musings, which I read many years ago when I lost my brother, my younger brother. In that you write about when you and your wife, everybody was constructing the Dhyana Lingam. And you talk about how her grasp of life slipped from her. It became the thread of life or the grasp of life, something to that effect, became very fragile when she could not hold on to it and she passed away. What exactly did you mean by that?
See, the life within you, the life within you manages to stick to the physicality of who you are. We have already been through this. Physicality is something that you gathered. It is not you, it is material. It is just a piece of this planet. What you gathered from the planet, if it has to stick to the life that you are, you must be in a certain level of reverberance. If you drop an intensity below a certain point, you can't hold it. That is called as dying of old age. There is no such thing in the world anymore as dying of old age, because doctors have decided you cannot die of old age, you can only die of a heart attack or a liver failure or a kidney failure or something. You cannot die of old age anymore. If you have seen anybody close up who are dying of old age, you can see his eyes become feeble, life becomes feeble. It's like the body is struggling to hold it, but it can't hold because it's become too feeble. If the reverberation goes below a certain level of intensity, it can't stick to the body, it will leave. So that is generally understood as living peacefully, because without struggle it just passed on. That's the reason why the word passing on has come. You're supposed to pass on, you're not supposed to kick out. So that is if the intensity drops. Another way to live is you raise the pitch of life's intensity to such a pitch, it went beyond normal pitch, then also you leave the body. So spiritual sadhana is trying to get the pitch of your life to the highest point, because only if the intensity of life is high, it's like the voltage is high, that's why the lights are bright. If your voltage is low, the lights will be dim, your awareness will be dim, your perception will be dim, all you will know is just survival process. So you want to pitch it up. So when you pitch it up beyond a certain point, there is always a danger that you will slip out. So we will fix certain things. We will fix certain things when a spiritual aspirant is progressing with a certain rapidity, we will fix the body in a certain way so that that cannot happen. Just yesterday I was, at the ashram satsang when we were there, one lady asked why women are asked to wear, the toe rings. What do you call this in Hindi? The toe ring, not you, you're not wearing.
Bichwa.
Yes. So it's called mettu in South. Why women are asked to wear toe rings when they get married? Because marriage was supposed to be such a huge experience that they could leave the body. At the age of 8, they would marry them. They will never see each other till they're 14 or 15. But emotionally, psychologically, she is cultivated to believe that her husband is like God. When she meets him, life will explode. That possibility in the child's mind has built up. When she is physically mature, she is brought into marriage. Because in this country, in this culture, there is no business, there is no marriage, there is no child, there is no family. Everything is just a tool towards your liberation and mukti. You get married because you want to use that as a tool to your liberation. You raise children because you want to use that as a tool to your liberation. You become a sannyasi because you want to use that. It does not matter what you do. Everything is towards your mukti or liberation. Because of this, they nurtured. And you feel an ecstatic sense within you simply because of the union within yourself, not because of what somebody else is doing. So now in a marriage, what somebody else is doing or what your husband or wife is doing doesn't matter, just the way you are is an explosive experience. This is how a lot of women lived in the past, because the process was very scientific and it was done properly. So they put this metal on the toes and also on the ring finger always, because if there is metal on certain strategic places in your body, you will not accidentally leave your body. So when you do spiritual sadhana, when we notice somebody is becoming very intense, first thing is, I will gift them a simple copper ring, which they must wear and they cannot remove without you also. They must wear and they cannot remove without permission. Because if this simple metal is on the ring finger, when they get into certain states of exuberance, by accident they will not slip out of the body. So she got into such exuberant states. Naturally, certain little bit of jewelry things were there. These things were never discussed till that point. The many things I refuse to discuss because devices will work well only when people do not know how it works. So we just put it on people, we never explain. But when this situation happened, I had to explain what happened. She sat there on a full moon day evening with everybody. There were people around, and after 5 minutes, it is in the shrine, she got up and went. My eyes are closed, I knew she got up. I got little irritated, because nobody ever gets up once they sit down. Till we say it is time, nobody ever gets up. And of all the people, my wife getting up and going, little irritation in me. Why is she getting up of all the people? Then I ignored it and I sat down. After 5 minutes, she came and sat down. In another 7-8 minutes, she just went like that. When I looked, she was gone, with a big smile on her face. Then I looked, she has removed her nose ring, she's removed her bangles, she removed her toe rings. See, she did not know intellectually, but at that moment she felt this is what is stopping her. And she pulled out all those things, kept next to the wash basin and came back. And she sat down within 7-8 minutes. But this is not something that happened accidentally. She announced this almost 9 months ahead of time. She had prepared, my girl who was only 7 years at that time, that she's going to leave in this month, but it happened 1 month early for various reasons, so that's a different aspect. But this is not new in this country. Any number of yogis just sit down, announce to everybody and leave their body. This whole process started 1 year before that. 1 year before that, there was a yogi called Nirmalananda in the Biligiri Rangana Betta in Karnataka. Anybody been there? BR Hills, you been there? Oh, it's a fabulous place. So, he lived there. For 14 years he lived in silence, just in the 4-acre ashram, he never stepped out of it. I met him in a strange way. I used to trek in those mountains. So, I go alone and trek for a week, 10 days when I run out of food and there's no way I can procure anything. I live out of the forest, but when I'm done, I come out and ride off. I park my motorcycle somewhere, I trekked for almost 5-6 days. It is rainy season, head to toe I'm in slush, okay? I'm really drenched with mud and everything. Then I came out and I was extremely hungry, I had not eaten for 2 days. I was very, very hungry. So there's no hotels, nothing there. So I had heard about this ashram. Me and spirituality were impossible at those times, that never occurred to me, I was just, in a different mode altogether. So I went to this ashram, there were about 15 steps to climb. I wouldn't get off my motorcycle at all those days, I just rode up the steps and went and parked my motorcycle, leaning it onto the wall next to his door. And he came and he looked at me and he grinned. Then I said, I'm hungry. But he was not talking, so he said, come inside. and he made me sit down. He had a little, baking thing, he baked some bread for me. All he had was this bread and honey. So he gave me bread and honey, I ate up 2 loaves of bread for making up for 2 days. Then after that, we developed a silent relationship. Whenever I went there, I would take a bunch of bananas or something and he would give me a can of honey. This transaction went on. Many years later, after things happened to me in a big way, everything about my life changed. After about 10 years, I went to see him. He didn't recognize me because, And I asked, "Don't you recognize me?" And I smiled. He said, He said, "Oh, you are the guy on the motorcycle." So at the age of 73, he decided when Uttarayana comes, you know what's Uttarayana? The sun's relationship with the earth, when it moves from southern hemisphere to north, you heard of Bhishma waiting to die at that time. So he said, when Uttarayana comes, I want to leave my body. I went there with my wife and daughter, and then he cried and he said, "I have built a samadhi, I am doing all this, but I am afraid that I may not be able to do it." Then I started discussing the technicalities of what it is, what makes it happen, what stops it, what is it that you need to do, and these kind of things. So, my wife Vijay was also there, she was listening to all this. Then we were driving back. By then I had graduated to 4 wheels, and we were driving back. Then she was silently crying. I said, "What happened?" She said, "I also want to live like him." I said, "When are you going to go?" I was trying to make a joke out of it. She said, "No, this is what I want to do." I said, "Why? What's wrong with your life?" She said, "No, everything is right with my life. My outside is good, my inside is feeling wonderful. I want to live when I'm like this, not when something is wrong with me." Then, as a husband, as a father of the girl, I'm trying to discourage her. But as a guru, definitely I want somebody to go as far as they can go. So from that day she asked for what to do. I gave her some simple sadhana, never believing that she will go to that pitch and intensity, because she was not somebody who was steeped in spiritual sadhana. She's just a very alive, she's either up or down, She's either absolutely exuberant or down. She doesn't know the in-between. She's not somebody whom you would consider a yogi or established in sadhana, nothing like that. She's a very exuberant person, and that's all it takes. That you're alive, that's all it takes. It's not that you know this or that, you're just 100% alive. That's the only qualification you need. And she started working towards it, she announced it 9 months ahead, we tried to sabotage it in so many ways to slow it down, but it went the way it went.